Mythic Legions, Advent of Decay, Thistlethorn, the woodland goblin is in the DorkLair. Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned for the question of the day at the end of the review. Now, let's take a look at the Relic Master. So I picked this one up in another trade, but I think it was the regular $35 from the in-stock sale, or if you had purchased it in the Kickstarter. But let me take a look at this guy right here. And Thistlethorn is a member of Xylonia's flock, one of the 10 Mythic Legions. Xylonia's flock is a sort of nature-based good legion. And my overall impressions with this figure is that the head sculpt is phenomenal. I think he maybe could have come with like a shield or maybe one other sort of accessory, but he does come with one pretty massive sword, so that kind of makes up for a little bit of the lack of accessories. I think the overall color scheme is great. It's very woodland, very green knight type armor going on with some bronze mixed in there and a little bit of leather. That gives it a kind of a nature look to it with some weathering and so on. Just kind of a look at the packaging real quick. So it's the regular box. Like all the figures, they come with this basically exact same packaging. The only difference is you have the Xylonia's flock emblem on the side, and then you have this profile, basically. So if you want to like pause it and read that. He's basically a collector. He's like a chronicler of relics and is a gatekeeper, I guess. He's sort of like a protector of the various ancient weapons and things. Do a little bit of a scale comparison, so I'll take him out of this pose real quick here. And I will put him up with some other figures. So first off, let me get these out of the way for a minute. First off, here he is next to another Mythic Legions. This one is a regular goblin, Nubnik, which I reviewed in an earlier video. And here he is next to an elf. This is the Shadow Elf, which I also reviewed. So that's how he scales with others. He basically has the exact same body type with a few little different pieces over there as this, but the same core, torso, and I think thighs and stuff like that. And then just for fun, let's see him next to a Mezco Wolverine. I'm going with a bit of a short characters theme here. And a Black Series Jawa. And then finally, because I love this thing so much and I think it goes really well with Mythic Legions, is the X Plus Mantelian Savrip from the Hollow Chess game in Star Wars. So a couple Star Wars figures. This is basically a vinyl statue, but from Hollow Chess. I think it mixes in really well with Mythic Legions. Maybe I'll do a video on that one someday. As far as the sculpt and paint go, like I said earlier, the head sculpt is the real highlight here. Some really good sculpt work in particular, with that fur sculpted in super fine detail. Really nice how they were able to do that. You have those black eyes that have a little bit of shine to them, and then various color shading to give it that kind of raccoon appeal. The armor has a metallic green and also a metallic bronze color going on. The sculpt work in the armor is fantastic. I kind of talked about this chest piece with the Nubnik character. Lots of fine little chips, and it looks like a worn out armor. And then you have some really nicely detailed sculpt work in the shoulder piece, in the arm. Lots of armor details with the green mixed in with the bronze, and then the bronze mixed in with the green. Buckles, leather, probably like sort of brass buckles going on there. It's got the soft waist piece here. There's some nice weathering going on. And you have the loincloth that's got little metallic rivets. Again, more of the nicely sculpted and painted armor pieces. More weathering. It's kind of like he's trekking through the forest in the mud, in the dirt. Quite nice. And then there's one kind of little nice thing going on with the neck. It's actually painted sort of animal-like, where like the front of the neck is white. But overall, really nicely sculpted, really nice paintwork on this figure. This line is just killing it. I can't get enough of these Advent of Decay figures. They're just so good. I'm loving them so much. So we'll stick him right here and just go a little bit into the accessories before we do any sort of articulation stuff. So, first things first, it comes with just like a basic sword, kind of like an extra weapon to throw in your arsenal. I think it does have two different colors. It's not super basic because the hilt is a different shade as the blade. So it's, you know, it's a nice basic medium-sized sword for any character that you have. It comes with the usual adapter pieces. So you can put wings on, and you can put a sword on his back and things like that. It does come with the usual shoulder strap. I think every figure comes with this shoulder strap, and it has a little slot for a sword. These are actually technically accessories as well because these come off. The pauldrons come off. In fact, I think they were off the figure when I opened up the packaging. They were in a bag. And then what I see as sort of his main weapon is this double-bladed staff type thing. Nicely sculpted. Not a ton of paintwork going on here. Just a solid green color there and then a solid silver here. But a cool thing about this is it comes apart into two pieces. So you could either have him, you know, double wielding these things, or, you know, you could have it like I had in the beginning of the video with it being like a staff type thing. And then finally, it comes with this massive sword. This is called the Sword Horseman, and one version of this was given out to all of the Kickstarter backers as like a bonus. I think anybody over 30 bucks. But this one is painted differently than that, and it comes with him as sort of like this thing that he has collected along the way. Maybe it's an ancient relic that he's a protector of. I think the paintwork is quite good on this. And the sculpting is just intricate. And it really kind of brings out that whole rocket raccoon thing where, you know, this sword is massive. And so if he's wielding this sword, he's kind of like Rocket Raccoon wielding a giant gun. So you get a sense of how big that thing is. Gigantic. And that'll do it for the accessories. And we'll jump into the articulation. So his head is on a ball joint at the top of the neck. Moves around quite a bit. His arm, his shoulder, you gotta move the pauldron, but his shoulder goes up. And when you get these figures, you really gotta break in. I had to like really mess around with the shoulder to break it in. But his shoulder goes up pretty far. It'll go all the way around if you can get around the armor. The elbow will go a little past 90 degrees with that single jointed elbow. And the wrist rocks nicely. Lots of good movement there. And spins around. The torso crunches forward quite a bit. But doesn't really crunch back too far. That much. And then at the waist, that just turns. There's no crunch at the waist. That's just a straight up swivel at the waist. The legs kick forward and backwards and out to the side. You can get them a little further. Sometimes the joints loosen up a little bit. Not a huge deal, but kind of annoying sometimes when you're trying to pose. They can be a little bit loose. Another thing about the joints is some of them come painted and then the paint rubs off. Like that happened up in this. If you look in this armpit, you'll see it's that color. If you look in this armpit, that one's still gold or bronze or whatever. Where was I? The knees bend back about 90 degrees, and then the ankles rock this way. Quite a bit. And then they rock forward and backward as well. And they obviously spin this way. There's also a swivel at the thigh. And there's a swivel at the wrist joint here, and then there's one above the elbow. These things don't come off. I'm pretty sure these elbow pads are on there permanently, like they're glued on. I'm quite sure. But that's pretty much it for the articulation. And that'll pretty much do it for our review. The figure was at 35 bucks. The in-stock sale already happened, so you might have to wait until their next wave. They'll probably do another in-stock sale like in March. But you can also find these in the social media groups and stuff like that. Question of the day. Have you picked up any cool figures recently? Let me know what you got in the comments below. And remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And thanks for watching. Make sure to check out our other videos, like our review of this guy right here, Shadow Elf Warrior. Find links to the DorkLair Collecting Podcast and our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages in the description below. And may the Force be with you.
DorkLair!